The riffs are too repetitive, the lyrics make no sense. All the songs are B-sides and the cover art's a mess. There's so much here to tear apart. Listen to it for a week, now that week has passed. It's Why I Hate This Album podcast with Tim and Garrett.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Why I Hate This Album. I am one of your hosts, Garrett Harvey. With me as always, co-host extraordinaire, Adrian to my Rocky, Timothy Richardson. Tim, how you doing, buddy?
I am confused this week.
What's got you so befuddled?
The song of the week. I don't really understand what it's about.
Unfortunately, I think I know exactly what it's about.
This week, we are talking about the Red Hot Chili Peppers song Stretch You Out, released September 1995 as a B-side to My Friends.
Tim, let me ask you right off the bat, do you hate this song?
I'm not sure, Garrett.
Oh my God.
Here's the issue. I don't understand the song. I can't make that judgment. He claims that he's going to stretch another human being out.
Tim, Don't you dare get ahead of us.
I mean, it's the title of the song, Garrett. I might hate it.
I like that there's a scenario where stretch you out could possibly have a meaning that you are completely okay with and in fact enjoy.
Well, I'm not saying that I enjoy it. Until I understand what stretching another human being out would be, I don't know that I hate it.
Okay.
What about you?
Yes, of course I do. Any sane person that's heard this song hates it. This is not a good song, Tim. Okay, so you requested that we do this song this week. This is a Tim Richardson pick. Tim Hot Pick. Tim, had you ever heard this song before?
Not before this week. I've listened to quite a bit of the Red Hot Chili Peppers. I guess this is sometimes included as a bonus track to One Hot Minute. And I've heard quite a bit of that album, but I don't think I've ever heard this song before. But I am no stranger to Dave Navarro era Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Oh, okay.
What about you? Are you super familiar with this song?
Never had heard it once till you demanded we do it this week.
I don't think demanded. I suggested,
Demanded.
and you jumped on it. And you said,
No.
yes, let's talk about stretching people out. And I said, I don't know what that means.
Demanded. In any event, Tim, no, I had not heard this song, and I wish I had kept it that way. Unfortunately, this week happened, and so I know it. I'll never, ever forget it, and it might very well be the start to me going from lifetime Red Hot Chili Peppers fan to lifetime ban. That's your history, that's my history, but before we can talk about this song, I think that we need to understand a little bit about this band. I want to give the listeners a brief history. It's just a prepisode of how the Red Hot Chili Peppers came to be, and most importantly, where in the hell did this song come from? The Red Hot Chili Peppers were formed in Los Angeles by singer Anthony Kiedis, guitarist Hillel Slovak, bassist Flea, and drummer Jack Irons, all of whom were classmates at Fairfax High School. Originally, they went under the band name Tony Flo and the Miraculously Majestic Masters of Mayhem. Their first performance was at the Rhythm Lounge Club to a crowd of approximately 30 people. Kiedis rapped a poem he had written called Out in L.A. over funky bass lines. So already off to a great start.
In their defense, you hear Tony Flo and the Miraculous... What is it?
Tony Flo and the Miraculously Majestic Masters of Mayhem.
Right, I'm in.
Wait, sight unseen, you hear that name and you've got to see it?
I will give it a chance.
I would argue if you do, then you deserve to walk in on a man rapping a poem he wrote.
Over funky bass lines.
The funkiest, Tim. The performance was so lively that the band was asked to return the following week. Due to this unexpected success, the band changed its name immediately to the Red Hot Chili Peppers, playing several more shows at various LA clubs and musical venues. 6 songs from these initial shows were on the band's first demo tape. In November 1983, manager Lindsey Getz struck a 7-album deal with EMI America and Enigma Records. 2 weeks earlier, however, What Is This, a band that Slovak and Irons were in originally together, had also obtained a record deal with MCA. They still considered the Red Hot Chili Peppers to be their side gig, and so in December of 1983, they quit to focus on the band What Is This? Just the worst band names across the board. I mean, we're used to it now, but the Red Hot Chili Peppers is a stupid name.
Absolutely.
Kiedis and Flea recruited new members, Cliff Martinez as the replacement for Irons, and Jack Sherman was hired as Slovak's replacement. The band released their first self-titled album in August 1984, and it sold very poorly, although it did eventually sell roughly 300,000 copies. They went on tour where infighting led to Sherman being fired. Hillel Slovak, who had just quit What Is This, would rejoin the band in early 1985. The band often indulged in heavy heroin use while recording this album. They then begin working on their next album with George Clinton, Freaky Styley. The band at this point has a pretty serious heroin problem, and wouldn't you know it, Freaky Styley also does not sell very well, though the band does feel as though it more catered to their aesthetic and musical tastes.
Now, let me ask you this. When you say the band has a pretty serious heroin habit, are you implying that the band does not have a pretty serious cocaine and crack cocaine problem?
I apologize. No. Those two are also a huge problem for the band. Both when they run out, where they're going to get more, how they're going to afford more, and when are they going to have time to do it with all this music getting in the way. By spring 1986, the band began working on their upcoming new album. EMI gave the band a budget of $5,000 to record a demo tape, and the band chose to work with producer Keith Levine because he shared the band's interest in drugs. Levine and Slovak decided to put aside $2,000 of the $5,000 budget to spend exclusively on heroin and cocaine.
I don't know what $2,000 of heroin and cocaine, like how much that would be in today's money, but that's a lot of heroin and cocaine.
Oh, yeah. We're talking about 1986. $2,000 worth of heroin and cocaine. Now, cocaine might have actually been more expensive. I don't know. I feel as though the price has actually dropped over time. Could be wrong. Heroin, though, pretty steady with the rate of inflation, I've heard.
Yeah.
Around this time, Kiedis fires Martinez when it's clear that he's just not trying that hard anymore, and who can blame him? Everyone around him is all fucked up on heroin and cocaine. But in spring 1986, the original drummer Jack Irons rejoins the band, and they start work on their next album. Unfortunately, Kiedis has to go to rehab, and Slovak is a maniac with heroin as well, and he just tends to disappear from time to time. Eventually, Kiedis comes back, and they record the Uplift Mojo Party Plan. They release it in September 1987, and wouldn't you know it, it's not great, but it does start the wheels a-rolling towards the fame train. Slovak's addiction eventually does, in fact, lead to his death from a heroin overdose on June 25th, 1988. Anthony Kiedis is so freaked out by this that he flees the city and does not attend his funeral. He eventually does return a number of days later. At this point, Irons is tired of the nonsense. He quits the band again. They pick up John Frusciante and Chad Smith, which is kind of the lineup I think most people are familiar with. They then record Mother's Milk in 1989, and fame continues to grow.
We got to point out at this point too, John Frusciante is too good to be in this band, but he wants to get into heroin.
Right. No better way to practice a little bit of music and do a lot of heroin than to join the Red Hot Chili Peppers in 1987.
Yes.
Or I guess it would have been 88, excuse me. The band continues with Warner Music. They hire Rick Rubin, and in September 1991, the band releases Blood Sugar Sex Magic. Now, it's no shock to anyone. They instantly are huge, and Frusciante quits for some reason to pursue a pretty serious drug habit. He quit a band to spend more time on drugs.
Yes, well, he also hated the band and fame.
Oh, right. Then in a very questionable move, they managed to hire as a replacement Jane's Addiction's newly available guitarist, Dave Navarro.
Newly available and newly clean guitarist, Dave Navarro.
That's not a great Dave Navarro.
Well, it's also not going to last very long, so don't worry about that.
So at this point, Kiedis is now clean. Unfortunately, he has a dental procedure where they give him some Valium, and it's back to Heroin City. They release One Hot Minute, the album from which the single of the week came from, on September 12th, 1995. The song that we'll be talking about today was originally attached to One Big Mob, the 7th track on One Hot Minute, and then eventually, as Tim mentioned at the top, became a B-side to the single My Friends. So then Frusciante comes back, they record Californication, Kiedis gets clean, they make a stop at Woodstock 99, regrettably for all. Frusciante leaves again, and they release multiple albums of varying quality. Next comes By the Way in 2002, Stadium Arcadium in 2006.
Frusciante is still there for that.
He's there for By the Way, but doesn't he leave before Stadium Arcadium?
I'm pretty sure he's on Stadium Arcadium.
Who could know? He's definitely gone by 2011's I'm With You and 2016's The Getaway. Tim, have you heard The Getaway?
I've heard it the once.
Me too. And that kind of brings us up to date. So let's get into it. Let's talk about this song. Before I say anything about the song, I want to say in full discretion, I, up to this week, would consider myself a virtually lifelong Red Hot Chili Peppers fan. And I get it, folks. Many of you are gasping, and that's fine. We don't always have to see eye to eye. I might be headed to the other side, Tim. It's hard to like a band that made this song.
Should we talk about the music of this first? We'll do music
Absolutely.
And then get into the confusing part.
Funky bass lines.
This was supposed to be, or is originally recorded as the outro to the song One Big Mob. So the intro to this and the outro to that is basically the same song, and that is a Rage Against the Machine song.
Oh yeah, it opens like Bulls on Parade like nobody's business.
It becomes way more Red Hot Chili Peppery fairly quickly, but there is a Rage Against the Machine intro.
You can taste the Navarro. It's a noticeable departure from what you can tell this band likes to do. And
Yes.
It's just like, everyone's whacked out on heroin, I'm clean, so we're going to make a Navarro album.
Well, it's unclear how quick he got back on the old H.
Oh, listen, if you went to work every single day and everyone around you was doing heroin, how long before you're doing heroin? 3 hours?
Maybe less. I love heroin, Garrett. I know it's not good for me. I wouldn't recommend it to anyone else.
But it's your one vice.
I would recommend it to everyone else. It's also not my one vice, but it is my main vice.
It is rapidly becoming your one vice. You're just all strung out on H. You're no fun. Can't do all those other vices. Back to the music.
All of the people on this album are good musicians. Chad Smith is a good drummer. He doesn't do anything outstanding or even very interesting on this song. Flea is an excellent bassist. I'm not a huge fan of his specific style all the time, but he's a great bassist. Mm-hmm. And Dave Navarro is a good guitarist. He just has terrible instincts, and he took this band in a poor direction.
Yeah, he likes a different kind of music than me.
Yes.
And eyeliner.
Have you ever seen the pictures of the drawings of the pharaohs? He looks like somebody made one of those drawings on top of his face.
Right, yeah, he looks like a child wearing makeup from a carnival.
Yes.
But he's an adult man.
He looks like somebody painted like a tiger onto his face.
Then he got sleepy and took a nap on the car ride home, and so it's all smeared onto his eyes. Or maybe he was playing Robin.
Oh.
Yeah, it's kind of got Batman's Robin eyes. A little mask, a little domino mask.
What if he's just a superhero in his off time? And so he's wearing the mask, but you obviously got to do a little eyeliner around that. Otherwise, you're going to look stupid.
Of all of the theories we have put forward so far, yours is the most plausible. It seems the least likely. He doesn't seem like a helper.
No. He's H-Man, but the H does not stand for helping.
Hey, buddy. Looks like you could use a fix. No, my cat's stuck in a tree. Yeah, you won't care in a minute, bro.
He really is doing the Lord's work.
Oh, no. I got in a horrible car accident. H-Man, don't worry, baby. You're gonna be fine.
I believe that Adult Swim would pay for this.
I don't know.
At least for the pilot.
Well, they don't really pay for pilots anymore. You gotta do a pilot presentation, basically for nothing. Yes, we should do this. I will work on H-Man.
You want to talk about these lyrics?
We gotta get into it, man. Okay, guys, strap in. We, once again, have managed to find a song that needn't... I'm gonna try my goddamnedest to interpret these lyrics and not take them at face value, because, jeez, 'em creeps. It is troubling stuff, and we'll get into it. Tim, do you want to kick us off, I guess?
Sure, I can start off with verse 1 here. Tony sings, "Stretching out your tightness, good enough to make you grow. We are all in favor of this motion. Stretching out your tightness, time to open up your hole. When it rains, I let myself get wet." No idea what that means.
Sure, and I want to take an open mind to this. I need to. It can't be what the words say. Stretching out your tightness. Okay, maybe he's helping a friend with some tight hammies?
Okay.
Good enough to make you grow. Nope, it wasn't that then. We are all in favor of this motion. So whatever's happening is consensual.
Well, maybe.
Okay, you're right. The person whom he's singing this at may not be part of the we.
Oh my god, I know what you're getting at. Ugh.
Yeah, this might be some sort of prison musical. All right, continue.
I have always wanted to give something to my brother, proposing to expose your head, just something that is like no other.
Okay, so here's my best defense of this song. What you've just read is perhaps or could be interpreted to mean that they are going to open up your mind with new ideas and stretch out your tightness or maybe your squareness or your conservative values with new information or points of view.
Okay, so all he's saying is you gotta loosen up, man. You gotta...
I'm hoping. No matter what needs to loosen up, he is definitely saying we're gonna loosen you up.
Right, so you're saying they're like the crusty old dean of this 80s movie.
Sure.
Obviously, stretching out your tightness, that's all it could mean. Now, whenever he says time to open up your hole...
your knowledge hole.
Okay.
Your ears? Open up those ears and listen. I'm going to lay it down. I'm going to open up your holes and stretch it. Oh, Jesus Christ, Tim. This is about anal rape.
Well, it's about sexual intercourse. The chorus of this song is, I'll stretch you out. I'll stretch you out, my friend. I'll stretch you out. Not a great chorus. Kind of catchy.
Tim, at this point, I have to pause for a moment and ask, you really insisted that we do this one. This seems to be some sort of song to a good friend.
Yes, well, so at first I thought maybe it's about a lady. I mean, it's still very threatening. The tone he sings this in, it's a threat. With Tony, if you listen to any of his other songs, they're mostly about like banging in parking lots and doing drugs under bridges. It's possible, maybe not likely, but it is possible that he thinks he's being sexy. Hey, baby, I'm going to stretch you out.
Okay. And Tim, I'm glad you reminded me to stop being so male-centric with my interpretations. This could very well be sung to a woman. This could be sung to any gender.
Well, it could be sung at a woman. Because it's not sexy, it's threatening.
It is some of the grossest foreplay or dirty talk I've come across. It seems unappealing. I cannot envision a romantic situation in which informing the other party that you're about to stretch them out would get them excited in a positive way.
Is it possible that this is just an advertisement for Tony's dick? Specifically to let ladies or whoever in the audience know he has a dick, but it is a big dick. A dick that is the size that would stretch a person, however one would do that, out, and he is interested in trying this experiment, the stretching experiment.
However one would do that. Are you unfamiliar with the mechanics of sexual intercourse? Is that what is to be gleaned from your word choice?
No, I know all about it, Garrett. I know how to sex.
Okay. All right. I don't want to make this episode about this. It could be. It should be, maybe even. We'll take it off air, but we may have to return to this on a separate episode. Not sexy, though. And in fact, this feels daddy adjacent. I am sure, not sure, but mostly sure, that anyone who is using daddy heavily in a romantic and or sexual way is maybe also threatening, promising, to stretch that person out.
Okay.
Keep submitting your daddy research.
Yes. So he does talk a little bit of the expanding the mind concept, where he says 3 pounds of love and knowledge are expanding in my skull. So presumably he's talking about his brain and not some sort of head wiener. That part is so out of place here because the rest of it seems very graphic.
Right. Just when you think you've got it nailed, they throw that at you. That's honestly where I got it, Tim. I thought, maybe he's just saying we need to loosen up these squares and expand their horizons. But why did he get so specific about that friend's hole?
If it is about expanding horizons, then he is the worst songwriter ever. Because he has screwed this song up so badly that you assumed that it was a graphic song about intercourse.
Possibly. Probably even.
He kind of mixes it more further. He says, I'm a fish and I can swim all day. I can swim in so many ways. Make it up as I go along, that's clear. That way, it's never wrong.
I think if you replace the word swim with fuck in that, we get the answer.
I am a fish and I can fuck all day. I can fuck in so many ways. Make it up as I go along. That way it is never... Okay, yep. Swim means fuck. Cool. Okay, moving on here. In verse 4, he says, very legendary, extraplanetary fairy. Varied truths she's making just for you. And this is the only time in the song the pronoun she is used. I assume the she is the extraplanetary fairy.
Who could know? I doubt Ketis knows.
The last 4 lines, he seems to be looking for that sweet, sweet anonymous sex. He sings, "Yes, I have always wanted to give something to the stranger, moving to improve the groove, a mental transformation." That in isolation is just vague enough that it could not be about anonymous sex, but it definitely is. Tony 1 seems to think that everyone is just super into his dick. There's a single pronoun she in this song, but it doesn't seem to be the she that is going to be stretched out.
I think the she in that sense is the orgasm fairy.
Oh, it's an orgasm fairy. I wasn't aware there was such a thing.
You know that thing that happens? I know you know how to get everything started. You've been terrifically detailed with me in stories. With that part where you get scared, that's when the fairy comes to visit you.
Oh!
You start freaking out.
That makes sense, yeah.
Right.
I fear magic, so that makes actually a lot of sense why I'm so scared.
Yep, that all adds up. So these lyrics, Tim, all set over pretty typical Red Hot Chili Peppers filler funky bass lines while Dave Navarro plays a heavier guitar than is warranted.
Yeah, he Navarros.
Right. This song lowers the overall quality of the Red Hot Chili Peppers as a band.
I agree.
It is either an incredibly offensive song or, as you pointed out, one of the most poorly written songs ever.
It's possible that Anthony Kiedis just does not know how to write a song that's not about banging or drugs. And so what he's done here is he set out to write a song that was about something different, and it just all trends back into one of those two subjects. Those are the only metaphors he knows.
That's very possible. And I could write a song right now. And if I spent the next 5 years writing songs, and I gave you a new song every day, they wouldn't be good. They wouldn't be anything you'd ever want to read or listen to or even take the time to set to music. However, not one of those songs would be confused for being a song about sexual assault.
We'll have to see.
If it seems like it's about sexual assault, then I meant it to. But it won't be about expanding people's horizons, right?
Yes. There is no confusion with this song, really.
No, it's about opening up somebody's hole and really wrecking them.
Ew.
Not my words, Tim.
Those are exactly your words.
Right, but they're his words put into my words, which made it worse. Oh, I see. Okay, Tim, any reviews for this song?
The first one here is by D-Dog. Stretch you out. Red Hot Chili Peppers are the king of innuendos. But they're not, right?
Correct.
Stretch you out is not sexual innuendo.
Again, I cannot fathom beginning a sexual encounter with a woman and being sure to promise to stretch her out and thinking, well, that's going to further this.
Maybe you're not dating the right women.
Maybe. You know what? Maybe.
Austin Yurkovsky said, "This is so directed at John. God damn those graceful chili peppers."
This guy thinks Anthony Kiedis was threatening to stretch out John Frusciante.
Yes.
For leaving the band.
Yes.
I mean, it is a threat for sure. It's just a weird threat.
Somebody that only went with general comment, he said, "It's about gay sex. I've always wanted to give something to my brother. And plus, assholes need more stretching than vaginas." That's something he thought, you know what? I've got something to add to the discussion surrounding this song.
He earnestly wanted to further the discussion about whether or not this was about a vagina or an asshole.
Yes, he did.
And you know what, Tim? I can't say for certain, but I don't know if that holds true as a universal axiom. I bet you there's assholes out there that are looser than a vagina.
All right.
I'm just saying.
Yep.
It's a vast world out there.
Okay.
Any more reviews?
No, that's it.
Great. Okay, Tim, who is this song for?
I think it's for 12-year-old boys who will think this is hilarious.
Oh, that feels right. I was going to say friends who just didn't know how to approach a certain topic with a good friend.
Oh, this could have been so helpful to me.
All right. I think we've picked it apart, so I have to ask Tim, do you hate this song?
Yeah, I do. It's a contender for our grossest songs about sex competition, and that's going to be a really fun bracket to fill out next March. Do you hate this song?
Yes, of course I hate this song. I hated it to begin with. I hated it all week. You made me hate a band I like.
Excellent.
And it's nobody's fault but that band. All right, Tim, that brings us to listener mail. That is where Tim and I each pick one piece of correspondence through one of the many, many channels and ways that you can reach out to us. And we read it here on the air. Tim, would you like to go first? I think I went first last week.
Sure. I actually have an iTunes review of our show this week. This is a 5-star review from somebody who has named himself BurgerFan1999. It is called Just Like a Burger. If this podcast was a burger, it would have all the necessary ingredients to make it a satisfying burger. All the episodes, and then in parentheses, burgers, have been great so far, and I can't wait to listen, in parentheses, eat, the new ones. Terrifyingly hungry Burger Fan.
Great name, Burger Fan. What's wrong with you?
I know exactly what's wrong with him. He is attempting to imitate a Christgau review.
Ooh, yeah. Maybe use the word burger once too many, but...
or once too few.
Still a great review and an excellent reminder. Get out there, rate, review, subscribe. Let us know. This is all we ask, folks. Get people interested, but a review like that, 5 stars, that feels like a good 5-star review and an excellent example of how you can be creative. Sure, we love it when you say, I enjoy the show, I like the show, it's a great show. Feels good. More importantly, get out there. Let us know you like burgers. Let us know you like these burgers and that all the burgers have been good or some other craziness.
If you are planning on consuming some sort of literal Gary burger, let us know.
Do not try to consume me. I will destroy you. My listener mail this week comes from Kyle. Kyle's reached out to us a number of times. Kyle, we always enjoy the correspondence. And this week, Kyle writes, I've just finished listening to the Evanescence episode and thought you'd like to hear my relationship to this album. The day this album came out, my father bought it for my mother. I then heard this album an uncounted number of times. Having been 3, I didn't get much decision-making authority in the car, and therefore would hear Evanescence whenever we were in the car. First of all, 3?
Well, I guess that makes him 21 now. Something like
Jesus.
that.
I do feel old.
Also, I'm not sure when that album came out.
True. The album continued to play in the car for the next 15 years. Okay, well, there you go. Until my mother lost it when she sold her car. So, of course, as the loving son I am, I bought it for her for Christmas. My mother has owned this album for almost the entire time it has been out, knows all the words to every song, and because of this, I also know every word to every song on this album. Also, next time y'all do a mailbag episode, if you read anything by A.J. LeMay, the kid whose grandmother recorded Beer for My Horses over 40 times, please call him Alan. It will piss him off and make me very happy. Tim is a sorrow sucker. Adios. Great email, Kyle.
I don't like how it ended.
The adios?
Yeah. I feel like he's mocking us.
I think it was just a colloquialism, Tim. Tim, now, did this ever happen to you? Did your parents have music that they tortured you with in the car?
No. And again, we lived in Saudi Arabia, so not that much was available to us, but I got a lot of like Simon and Garfunkel stuff.
Oh, that's not bad. In my father's car, good stuff. Beatles, Stones, I mean, everything. Fucking everything, including Blood Sugar Sex Magic. First
so
copy
strange.
of that album I ever had, I stole it from my father. This happened in my mother's car multiple times, including the best of Frank Sinatra, the best of Tom Jones, the best of Dolly Parton, and worst of all, Tim, the very worst, the best of Barbara Streisand.
We should have
also
been
the Aladdin soundtrack. I bought it for her for Christmas as well.
But it's great. The whole new world. I'm into that.
God damn it, don't get me started on it. I cannot get it out of my head. Anyway, that brings us to music news of the weird. And in case anyone's confused, I'd just like to remind everyone this is a Prepisode. This is the episode between the episodes in which we give you a little music news and then we hit you up with the album we'll be talking about next week. First up in music news of the weird, Kim and Kanye had their 4th child, and by that I mean they paid someone to do it for them. That's right, they had their 4th child via surrogacy, and they have announced the boy's name. Have you heard this young man's name, which he'll have to go his entire life with?
No.
Psalm.
What?
You know, please open your hymnals to page blah, blah, blah. We will be singing from the Psalm of Jeremiah.
Psalm West.
Psalm.
Psalmist. I don't like it.
It's got a silent P.
Psalm West.
Psalm. In any event, so what was already going to be, I'm sure, a difficult childhood, despite the millions of dollars, but, you know, emotionally, they've just managed to find a way to make it at least 2% worse. Tim, in other news, as our listeners may remember, Woodstock 50 was in trouble. The original backers had backed out. Many of the bands refused to sign because their upfront fees would not be met. Good news. Woodstock 50 has found new financial backers, though no one has confirmed if a permit has been acquired for the land to actually hold the festival, and I didn't see any details about performers actually agreeing now to perform.
The permits is the first thing you do, right?
I feel like it is the first thing you do. If anybody remembers Wayne's World 2 when he was having Wayne stock, God, that movie's stupid. He goes to apply for a permit only to realize, oh, that's kind of a complicated thing. Wayne's World 2 taught all of us that permits are the first thing you have to get when you're throwing a music festival. So we'll see how it works out. Tim, did you hear Madonna performed at this year's Eurovision in Israel? A lot of controversy. Many people thought that she should have sidestepped on the performance entirely. She said, nah, I like money, shut the fuck up. But at the end of that performance, Tim, two dancers, one in a Palestinian flag, the other in an Israeli, embraced. So I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I am pretty sure that means two-state solution next couple weeks, probably, right?
You know, I always thought Madonna was going to be the one to figure it out.
You've been saying that for years, and I have laughed in your face.
Yeah, who's laughing now, stupid?
In other music news of the weird, Jay-Z and his Volume 2 producer Timbaland are facing a $2 million lawsuit over alleged copyright infringement on the track Paper Chase. According to TMZ, the lawsuit was filed by plaintiff Ernie Hines. Although the 1998 album Volume 2 is one of Jay-Z's most popular, Hines, an 81-year-old man, says that he has never heard it before this week. The lawsuit, which is also against Rockefeller Records and Sony Music, states that Jay-Z and Timbaland, who both used the sample of Hines' soul song from 1969 without his permission, owes him money. The credits on the track Paper Chase do explicitly state that they did use his song Help Me Put Out the Flame, so he's probably going to get paid assuming he does not die. That's all I got for music news of the weird, Tim. What do you have?
Well, I have a piece of music news from 1992.
That seems appropriate. You're a little behind the times, but go ahead.
Well, it seems one of our listeners, Dwayne Benton, sent in, we missed that 311 has a song called Soul Sucker. I know, it seems shocking that we would have missed this, but let me explain.
Have you seen our staff lately?
Yeah, well, no, but let me explain why we missed this. This song appeared on the 1992, I think it's an EP, Hydroponic, so nobody's heard it. It does include some pretty great lyrics, including, you cannot suck my soul, no, and the soul suckers must be circumnavigated.
Boy, Tim, I thought you and I were the only two people that were spreading the good word about the fight, the universal fight against the soul sucker. Could it be that our secret allies, 311, have been fighting the good fight for years in the background? Maybe the entire reason 311 exists is to finance their fight against soul suckery.
No, they're about good vibes. In slightly more recent news, Britney Spears' legal battle against her parents and the continuing conservatorship, giving her father complete legal guardianship over her, a situation that's somehow been going on since 2008, is going to court. She basically has legally been a child for the past 11 years after going a little bit crazy. Her ex-manager, Sam Lufty, has been harassing her and her parents, which has resulted in a restraining order against Sam, specifying he must not make any disparaging remarks about her. He was apparently trying to trick Lynn Spears, Britney's mother, into challenging her father over the conservatorship, offering her a bribe of $1,000, which she probably doesn't need.
$1,000?
Yeah, it seems insulting, right?
Why would he want her to contest the conservatorship?
Well, because he's looking to get back in. The family blamed him partially for the mental breakdown in 2008, so I think he's trying to weasel his way back into getting some of that sweet Britney money.
Wow.
A judge, though, has ordered an expert evaluation of the conservatorship, and all parties involved have agreed to a 7:30 evaluation to determine the mental health and competency of Miss Spears.
Oh, that's sad.
Fans were at the courthouse with Free Britney signs, but according to her current manager, Larry Rudolph, she may never perform again. So Free Britney, hashtag Free Britney.
I don't believe she is captured.
I think she is, Garrett.
Well, sure, she has been legally deemed a child for the last 11 years, but I don't think she's seeking freedom from the conservatorship. I think she feels like it's okay.
I don't know. It's hard to tell.
You know what? Stop performing. You've got to have enough money. Emancipate yourself, 41-year-old woman. Emancipate yourself from your parents and just go move to Toronto.
Oh, yeah, no one will bother her there.
Right.
And it's beautiful.
Wait. Yeah, it's a gorgeous city. New York or the North, Tim?
A little bit more news from April. The first privately funded moon landing failed. It was Space IL, a mostly Israeli venture, I believe. The lunar library, part of the mission's payload, is thought to have survived. A 30 million page document with some of humanity's greatest achievements, including a collection of songs. Now, it's unclear if any of the artists featured on this show were included, but I really hope so. I hope someday that those moon men will hear about the work of Florida and or Georgia. Maybe someday aliens will learn of daddy talk from some of the very same songs we learned from.
That's possible. I'll guarantee you. The Eagles are on there.
Oh, I'm sure. On a more local note, also included in the Lunar Library is a recipe for Austin's own Kirby Lane queso, so that I guess future astronauts on the moon can make queso, assuming they bring the ingredients. While we're on the queso subject, I just want to say, fuck queso. That guy was a dick to my family, and I have not forgotten. I will get my revenge on the quesos.
Tim, the cheese, not your enemy.
They're the same people, Garrett. I've told you this, right? I've explained to you the quesos.
I'm sorry. I didn't realize they were of queso fame. How did the quesos harm you?
Well, it wasn't me personally. My great-grandfather invented salsa. Unfortunately, his two business partners, obviously everyone knows Jonathan Queso and also Dr. Guacamole, cut him out of the business deal, and he lost everything. He was buried in a pauper's grave to this very day.
A pauper's grave?
Yes.
Are you 80?
No.
Are you in a Coen Brothers movie right now?
Garrett, this is
My
why...
My father was buried in a pauper's grave not 30 yards from the home I was raised in.
Which is, of course, why, to this very day, salsa is free, the other two aren't.
I abhor you. Do you have any other music news of the weird, you son of a bitch?
No.
Fantastic. Glad we ended on that. Okay, Tim. This is my favorite part of the show. The part where we announce... Nope, not a... You know what? That wasn't bad. I thought it was going to be terrible. It wasn't bad. Good job. I wish you hadn't done it on my thighs.
They're so woody.
That was startling. Please warn me before you thrash my upper thighs.
I will not.
You know what? Just don't touch them. Tim, what album are we talking about next week?
In a first for us, we gave you a taste of what we deemed not good enough to be on the Red Hot Chili Peppers album One Hot Minute this week. For next week, we will be listening to Red Hot Chili Peppers One Hot Minute, released September 12th, 1995. So we're going to get to find out what they thought was better than Stretch You Out, if anything.
In a chameleon-like twist, at the end of the episode, you find out that you just were part of a prequel, and you didn't even know it. We gave you the bonus track first.
It's not a prequel if it comes out first.
Oh, right. Tim, we have to release the episode first.
We'll see.
In any event, this episode has a sequel. Next week, we are going to be talking about the Red Hot Chili Peppers' One Hot Minute, an album which, Tim, I owned and I thought I liked. I know I like at least one song on that album. At least, maybe two.
Yeah, Aeroplane's a great song. No. I also own this album. I love this album around the same time that I was real into like 311 and Rage Against the Machine. I might not feel the same way about it today.
Fair enough. Do you have any predictions, Tim? Do you think, based on what's happened here today, I think it's up for grabs, right? We may hate this thing out the gate.
That's very possible.
There's
it's Dave
song
Navarro. Yeah, Aeroplane. We all love Aeroplane.
No, you asshole.
We all hate Dave Navarro and his contributions to music. I mean, he's a good guitarist. Just plays it.
I think you are right, though. He does have Cleopatra eyes. What's with that Pharaoh face, buddy?
Pharaoh face is great.
It's no Sylph Scarf Monkey, but Pharaoh face ain't bad. Yeah, I'm very curious to see what happens. I was nervous when you asked to do this 1-2 punch, and it's a great idea. Couldn't deny the format, so I had to give in. But Tim, I think I like a lot of songs on this album, so one of two things is going to happen. Either we're going to have a fist fight, or I'm going to come to hate something that I used to like.
But it won't be Aeroplane, because objectively, that is a great song.
You keep saying that. That's not my recollection. But we'll have to wait till next week to find out. As always, folks, please rate, review, subscribe, tell a friend, tell a couple friends. I don't know, print out a big vinyl banner and put it up in your local hometown across the town square. Nothing crazy, don't break any laws. But if you have the means, if you have the money to bribe several people to then release hundreds, if not thousands of links to our website over your entire city, and that's not something that's illegal or wrong and you can do it fair and square, do it. but nothing crazy. Don't put yourselves out. The point is, tell someone. And as always, reach out to us. You can reach out at hatepod.com. Click on Contact Us in the upper left-hand corner. You write to us. Tell us what you like, what you don't like. Funny stories about these songs or albums. Interesting music news that we may have missed. Maybe there's a fun fact that Gino, our useless septuagenarian Italian producer, failed to mention in the dossier. We want to know about it, and God damn it, Tim's going to reply to you whether you like it or not.
Actually, you know what? No. Don't, if we miss something this week, don't tell us about it. We might hit it next week.
You know what? That's a good point, Tim. I'm glad you said it. Otherwise, on that website, hatepod.com, you can also get a copy in any format you could possibly want that you can even download and take with you anywhere you want to go of every episode we've ever done. Additionally, you can reach out to us on Twitter at albumhatepod or Instagram, the gram as the kids are calling it, at hatepod. You can go to YouTube/God knows what. We're on there as well every single episode. Maybe you want to stream it on an open tab at work. If you're there, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Every little bit helps. We really do appreciate it. You can also hit us up at hatePodMail at gmail.com. We still want to hear all those great suggestions, ideas, albums, and stories. You can just email us directly there. Either way, all goes to the same inbox, and we will get back to you. For Why I Hate This Album, I have been one of your hosts, Garrett Harvey.
I have been the other, Tim Richardson.
The riffs are too repetitive, the lyrics make no sense. All the songs are B-sides and the cover art's a mess. There's so much here to tear apart. Listen to it for a week. Now that week has passed, it's Why I Hate This Album podcast with Tim and Garrett.